Welcome. I am Day, a woman in recovery from loss, grief, trauma, and addiction. I have found that in my years of active recovery, that upon waking, it is useful for me to affirm and devote myself to the me of my recovery, the one who ties all of the pieces of me together gently and lovingly to face each day. With these daily affirmations, reflections, and devotions, walk with me on the journey of renewal and self reflection. And remember that you are not alone. Fair use. Daily Reflections. This is a book of reflections by AA members for AA members. January 12th. Accepting our present circumstances. Our very first problem is to accept our present circumstances as they are, ourselves as we are, and the people about us as they are. This is to adopt a realistic humility without which no genuine advance can even begin. Again and again, we shall need to return to that unflattering point of departure. This is an exercise in acceptance that we can profitably practice every day of our lives, provided we strenuously avoid turning these realistic surveys of the facts of life into unrealistic alibis for apathy or defeatism. They can be the sure foundation upon which increased emotional health and therefore spiritual progress can be built. As Bill sees it, page 44. When I am having a difficult time accepting people, places, or events, I turn to this passage and it relieves me of many an underlying fear regarding others or situations life presents me. The thought allows me to be human and not perfect, and to regain my peace of mind. Fair use. Courage to change one day at a time in Al Anon. January 12th. Early one morning, I stopped to watch a colony of bees. A little intimidated by the frenzied motion and intense buzzing, I reminded myself that if I didn't poke my nose into their hive, I wouldn't get stung. If I chose, excuse me, if I chose to maintain a safe distance from a dangerous situation, I would be fine. To me, that is exactly the lesson that detachment teaches. The choice is mine. When I sense that a situation is dangerous to my physical, mental, or spiritual well-being, excuse me, I can put an extra distance between myself and the situation. Sometimes this means that I don't get too emotionally involved in a problem. Sometimes I may physically leave the room or end a conversation. And sometimes I try to put spiritual space between myself and another person's alcoholism or behavior. This doesn't mean I stop loving the person, only that I acknowledge the risks to my own well being and make choices to take care of myself. Today's reminder. Now I know how to end an argument by simply refusing to participate, to turn to my higher power for help with whatever I'm powerless to change. to say no when I mean no, and to step back from insanity rather than divining, diving into it. Detachment is a loving gift I continue to give to myself and to others. If a man carries his own lantern, he need not fear darkness. Ecstatic saying. Fair use, just for today. Daily meditations for recovering addicts. January 12, spiritual awakening. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Step 12. How will I know when I have had a spiritual awakening? For many of us, a spiritual awakening comes gradually. Perhaps our first spiritual awareness is as simple as a new appreciation for life. Maybe one day we'll suddenly discover the sound of birds singing early in the morning. The simple beauty of a flower may remind us that there is a power greater than ourselves at work around us. Often, our spiritual awakening is something that grows stronger over time. We can strive for more spiritual awareness simply by living our lives. We can persist in efforts to improve our conscious contact through prayer and meditation on a daily basis. We can listen within for the guidance we need. We can question other addicts about their experiences with spirituality. We can take time to appreciate the world around us. Just for today, I will reflect on the spiritual awakenings I have experienced. I will strive to be God conscious. I will take time out in the day to appreciate my higher power's handiwork. Fair use. Today, Emotions Anonymous, January 12. Reflection for today. I became more mannerly and stopped thinking it was all right to hurt people around me. It became easier to say things such as, "Excuse me, I didn't mean to bump into you." I became aware that there were others around me as sensitive as I was. As step 9 suggests, I began to make direct amends to people I had harmed whenever it was possible. Fear and pride made it difficult at first, and I had to be willing to risk. It became easier as my apologies were accepted. Some people had died and others had moved away, so I asked God to help with those amends. Making amends releases guilt feelings. Meditation for today. God, please grant me the courage, honesty, and good sense to enable me to sincerely and lovingly apologize, including to myself. Today I will remember everybody can be hurt, including me. Fair use. Strengthening my recovery. Meditations for adult children of alcoholics, dysfunctional families. January 12. Trait 1. We became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. BRB, Big Red Book, page 10. So many of us shut down and hide because of our fear of people and authority figures. Most of this fear stems from the way we were treated when we were young. Understandably, what we learned as children carries over into most everything we do today. Fear of our partner or boss, fear of success or failure, fear of conflict. The list can seem endless. Our childhood authority figures, our parents, were often physically, verbally, or emotionally abusive. One thing many of us thought we learned for sure, if anything went wrong, it was our fault. While working the ACA steps with a sponsor, we gradually and bravely uncover the traumatic moments from our childhood that made such lasting impressions. No wonder we were scared. No wonder we held our breath and squeezed our muscles tight. Knowing what happened is what leads to change. One follows the other for a reason. All of our work bears fruit. At some point, the clouds open up and the sun shines through. We get it. We don't have to live in fear anymore. Freedom feels terrific. Thank you, higher power. On this day, I acknowledge the fears I've carried for most of my life, and I remind myself that I am now safe. I take deep breaths and feel gratitude for the people in my life who are kind and loving. Please subscribe, like, share, and most of all, be the you that you are created to be.